Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Wonderlands build video, and today I will be going over Urge the Surge. This is a Frost-Shivver Feral Surge melee build that uses Blast Chill as support. I will also show a Berserker Spore Wind skill tree later on for Spore players out there. Also be showing a little gear shift to have full-on Blast Chill focus with Feral Surge still being used. Feral Surge is not that strong of a skill. It needs a lot to make it work somewhat well. I definitely suggest playing on lower chaos level. I like using it at chaos 75 as just where only primordial and ascended gear drop. The first gameplay you will see is at chaos 100 with more blast chill focus. This setup can be very strong and comparable to Alchemical Agent, but just more RNG. I also focus a lot on swing speed because it's tons of fun swinging fast, but also helps get more blast chill swing. At the end of the video, I will show you Chaos 75 gameplay for more Feral Surge damage focus, just to show how fun it is at Chaos 75. Chaos 100 is definitely not worth it for Feral Surge, trust me. The save file for this build will be in my Discord link down below. You can also find my Twitch, where I stream for time to time. And if you like this build, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, and for our gear, we have our live wire. This will be mainly used. It gives a chain every other melee swing. The damage is based on your melee weapon's base damage, so it's still really good. Doesn't get the full formula as your melee, but it gets enough that it's still very strong. And then we have a Tooth Raider. This is for crossbolts versus bosses, as they just kind of help your damage a lot. The crossbolts are a pure multi-year damage. Then we have a Delusion for soaked enemies. This helps with enemies that can't be hit with Tidebreaker, which is mainly a couple bosses. That's mainly where you need soaked. But like anywhere else, like some flying enemies during mobbing, you don't need soaked. And then we have the Stab-O-Matic. This is for ranged enemies mainly, and for getting out of save your soul from faraway enemies. The enchant we use here is on action skill and gain area damage and spell radius. This area damage applies to Blast Chill and Feral Surge. From my testing, it doesn't seem like spell radius affects Tidebreaker, which is weird. I haven't tested too much, but it just didn't visually seem like it, so I'd have to do more testing on that. But the area damage is very good to have on this. And then for our melee, we use the Goblin Pickaxe with either high crit chance for more damage or high swing speed for more Feral Surge cooldown. I want to use Frost because I used cryo bonuses already, but element isn't that important. Since we're using soaked, you wouldn't want fire, so like if you wanted shock to spread out elements, you could do that. Corrosive would work too, just kind of whatever you want. For bossing, faster bossing would mean element matching. Just kind of depends on how geared you are if you need that element matching. And then we use Warrior for the melee damage and the damage reduction, which is very nice. And then we have the Feral Surge cooldown enchant to get back Feral Surge very fast. And then we use a Cursed Wit with Fleet. I use Ascended to get more health from unarmed defense. You could also use Roid, but Fleet goes into Amnesia, which affects all your damage, while Roid gives melee, which is only your melee damage. Now, you could also go Capacity for more health, but then it takes longer to break your ward. So, Fleet or Roid's probably best. You can also use a Body Rune for survivability, but you do lose a lot of damage from not going Cursed Wit. That conditional damage is a lot. And then we use a low health enchant, which is amazing for survivability. And then you just kind of gain extra damage, which is kind of nice, which isn't the main point. It's mainly for survivability. But it has saved my life more than I've needed damage. And then for the armor, I use Berserker Sport Armor for the Icebreaker points. Cold Snap is also nice for Amnesia, but just kind of focus on Icebreaker. And then just ideally, just try and get a good Berserker armor with good passives, even if it's not Berserker Spore Warden. Yeah, that's all I have for that armor there. I thought I might have different ones, but really for Berserker, this is probably the best one. I think there's a Berserker one that gives Old Ways, but again, not as good as Icebreaker. So just try and get good passives. In the end, they probably matter more than getting Icebreaker points. I'm not exactly sure. That's usually how it goes. And then we use Amnesia for damage. As we have a lot of move speed, we'll be getting new stance. Amnesia just gives damage based on how much move speed you have and not how fast you're moving. Like how Swift Death is how fast you're moving, not how much move speed you have. So that's why Amnesia is so good. So you can be staying still and be getting all that bonus from move speed. And so then we also have other options like Amalgam just for all the stats, and then Cape of Tides, which is also really good. Passives to look out for are ability damage, area damage, move speed, melee damage, melee crit chance, and max word capacity. Using Skeep for our amulet is for better survivability, as I'm using Cursed Wit plus Amnesia Attack, which can be pretty risky. You want to focus on getting Berserker power, as that will boost Feral Surge, and then try and get all damage and frost damage rolls, as those also boost Feral Surge and Blast Chill. Berserker power also increases Blast Chill, which is also really good for this. And then here we use a Tidebreaker. This is for Soaked. You want to try and get cooldown rate and spell charges. We use the Feral Surge enchant. This is melee card boost damage, which is the same as Tyrant's Truth, Brutal Stampede, and Consecutive Hits melee enchant. We don't have these bonuses on this build right now, so this is very strong and helps melee a lot. You can also use an Empowering Sigil that can be used for instant freezing for high Icebreaker uptime, but I much prefer getting Soaked, as we can still stack Icebreaker. I forgot to mention another reason why I like Livewire is that damage technically gets the cryo bonus element from Berserker, so we're stacking Icebreaker there, which is why I like going Tidebreaker, and gives me an excuse not to go Empowering Sigil. Empowering Sigil does also give more survivability, but then you're getting less crit uptime and less Amnesia uptime. For the rings, you just want to try and get rings with ability damage, and then melee crit stats are just really nice for this. Feral Surge doesn't really crit enough for ability crit stats to be worth it, so we go for our side damage, which is melee. So this crit chance just means higher damage when you crit. Shell casing rings is what I use, as I can go low ammo on all the time with Livewire, but focus stats over the legendary effect 100% of the time. Blast Chill is very effective on here, as it counts as ability damage, so a lot of it bonuses. Here we're getting a boost to Feral Surge, which is why this melee damage is doing so good and bosses are dying so fast. But I do have a Blast Chill focused version that I will show. Alright, and then here the changes we have here is Spellcast Melee instead of area damage. Both would work. Area damage would be very good, but I don't chain Feral Surge as much as this, as we're not going as much into damage that'll help Feral Surge and more into melee. We still do have some ability and global boost though, so Feral Surge can still kill sometimes. And then here, instead of Warrior, we go Ancient Hilt. This is to get back Feral Surge faster, and then we choose Consecutive Hits melee, as this damage bonus is more impactful than going Warrior and then the Feral Surge cooldown enchant. And then for the armor, I really like to use the Berserker Stabomancer armor. This gives points in Iron Scroll. It also gives points in Old Waves, which is nice. I just like it for more swing speed. But Burst War armor is still better, so I would definitely still go that if you want more damage, but it just gives some more options. Alright, now we're back onto the regular Feral Surge Focus version. Skill trees are the same. There's no reason to change skill trees, which is why I definitely didn't do different builds, because it's just gear swaps. A couple of my builds could technically be gear swaps, but we won't go into that. So we go in Yielding for survivability. We go Ancestral Frost over Savagery, because Frost damage will apply to my Blast Chill and Feral Surge, while Savagery will only apply to my Blast Chill from the base damage hit from melee. So that's why I go this. And because we're using Frost damage, it'll double dip and Blast Chill and all of that. And then we go Old Ways, of course. Great damage. Some damage reduction is always nice. Then we go Icebreaker. It's just pure molt damage, which is great. Then we go Cold Snap for move speed, Unarmored Defense survivability, Blood Frenzy survivability, Instinct for reload speed and swap speed is just really nice to have. And I take it over the minimum amount of points that Ancestral Frost gives. Area damage because of Feral Surge and Blast Chill, Bluntless Rage survivability, Iron Skull for swing speed, and then Blast Chill because so much damage and our bossing. Blood of the Fallen to get back Feral Surge faster. Stabbo is chosen over Spore because it allows us to over-spec Berserker, getting a lot of skills that we wouldn't otherwise. Stabbomancer gives Exploit their weakness, which is the same damage type as Wrath of Nature, and it just takes a little bit longer to apply. We also get a lot of swing speed with going Stabbo, so we get more Blast Chills than using Spore. So here you'll see we have Haste and the move speed and swing speed. We get Potent Poisons just to kind of help exploit their weakness, and it's not better than going Arsenal and of course exploit their weakness because it's pure molt to our damage here. I will link the Spore Warden Berserker spec in the description for people who have a Spore Warden primary, but this version will definitely do you a lot better. I wanted Spore Warden to work, but it just doesn't work as well just because Frost-Shivver is just that good. For hero points, I focus a lot on spell cooldown for Tidebreaker spam, and then I put the rest into max HP, and then I put some in cooldown for more Feral Surge. We don't really need to go crit damage, as Feral Surge really crits. It would just help our melee, but I'd rather focus more Feral Surge helping stuff. I go Clownblood background for more spell cooldown, but it's a very minimal choice that isn't build breaking. I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. It was a lot of fun building Feral Surge to see how far I can push its limit. It's super fun chaining kills to constantly spam Feral Surge. Blast Shield damage also surprised me, as I forgot how strong it can be, because normally I use Alchemical Agent for my stronger melee builds. This is why I made a Blast Chill version, which was going to be a separate build, but ended up just being super similar to this Feral Surge build, so I just showed it together. I will have 2 save files that you can find in my Discord for both versions. I'll not have one for the Spore Warden version, as it's just a skill tree change at worst. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.